Chevreul's rule of color theory, Chevreul's rule of color interaction, what it states is that colors are perceived differently based on their context. The three branches of Chevreul's rule of color theory is your value, your complementary colors, or your saturation, and subtraction, which is probably a new one you haven't heard of. But subtraction, in my opinion, is the most fun one. That's the one where you'll probably use it the most, actually. Let's start off with talking about value, though. Values may appear lighter or darker depending on the values that surround them. Have you ever seen the optical illusion that looks like this, where it's a checkerboard and A and B look different from each other, but they're actually like the exact same gray? If I draw a line to these two, they're actually the exact same gray. So this gray appears darker than this one, however, they're actually the exact same color. That is the value one. This gray looks a lot lighter than this one does, only because of the context that surrounds them. If we took one gray like this, put it into a black environment versus a white environment, yeah, it's the same gray, but in a white environment, it looks a lot darker than in a black environment. And that is specifically only because we perceive them differently depending on what surrounds them. Values may appear lighter or darker depending on the surrounding values. Our second branch, complementary colors or saturation. Complementary colors have a brightening effect. Right? When used together, complementary hues appear to be brighter. In this case, we are working with RGB because we are on a computer, right? So we're working with light. Let's say we took a gray first. If we take the gray and we put a red on top of the gray, it's red. Yeah, it's pretty bright. It's not like nutso, right? It's like we can kind of stand this. This isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Took a gray. It doesn't help that I'm working on a gray background too. So it's like I have like a limited range of grays that I can work in. But if I used a cyan and used that same red, a little hard to look at, right? It's a little difficult to look at, right? It's a bit of a flashbang, kind of hurts your eyes a little bit, right? You can use any other color, right? If I took like a dark blue instead, or if I took like something even closer to cyan, if I took like a green, neither of them brighten up this red as much as that cyan does, right? These two are also not easy to look at, but this kind of hurts your brain a little bit, right? Complementary colors have a brightening effect. So when used together, complementary hues appear to be brighter. I'm gonna do one more example of this. Put yellow on top. It just looks like a bright yellow on top of a gray. However, we take a blue, you can see the difference. It really, really helps brighten it up. And the actual application of this, if you really want to make a color pop, obviously you're probably not going to use them this intensely, but say you really, really want like some kind of like, say we're coloring in something and you want a kind of brightening effect. So when we color that in, right, there's two ways that we could do this. If you decide that you want to just, you know, darken it for the sake of darkening it, like, yeah, you can, like, add a shadow that's kind of normal. But if you want that kind of brightening, that kind of, like, poppy sort of look, you can change a kind of boring color like that, work with kind of like a darker cyan, and instantly that shadow feels like it is popping, right? You can really, really work with that. You could even go a little crazy with this shadow and go like that. Lots of different applications that you can work with when it comes to complementary colors versus just using a darker hue. And the last one, this one's a funny one. This one's a bit hard to explain, and it's easier to draw it out. Subtraction deals with the concentration or amount of presence that a hue has within a color. If one hue appears less in a grouping of colors, it will appear more dominantly within said colors. This is kind of tricky to understand, but let me show you. Let's say we have a red, and let's say we have a blue. Now let's pick a purple. Let's say we put this purple in this red, and this purple in this blue. The purple in the red appears a smidge bluer. The purple in the blue appears a smidge redder. The reason for that is because we have more red in this one and more blue in this one. There is less red in this composition, quote unquote, as a whole, so this purple appears more red. There is less blue, there is more red in this composition as a whole, so it appears more blue because there is less of a hue within those compositions. Here is a practical application for it. This one's a bit weird to kind of understand. Say that we've got Kirby going on here, right? Kirby's going in a little white box. He's surrounded by just light. His colors look just as they should. Let's say I was to take Kibi and I'm gonna put him in a shadow, casting a shadow on top of him. Right? If Kibi's in a shadow, I can't keep him these colors because it doesn't look like he's in a shadow anymore. So we have to change this. Let's say our shadow color is blue. This means we still want to make this pink look like pink, but we want it pop out while still including this blue that is in the background. We take this pink, okay, I need to add some blue into this. Which color, where do we go to make this look more blue? And the answer is going towards magenta and then darkening it down. He still appears pink, but he's just in shadow now. This is subtraction. Subtraction is him still looking pink, even though this is now some kind of purpley magenta. This is how you work with colors, and this is how you get rid of the need to work with a multiply layer. So if I take the original colors and put them next to the new pinks, very, very different within the same context. Let's take this one. Let's do this one, for example. I wanted this kind of bluish bounce to be coming off of her hair, right? I can't just use blue. Blue doesn't look good. It's too bright. So to make it look like as if it's just a little slightly blue-hued light, I took yellow and I dulled it down like crazy, right? This is also using a bit of Zorn's palette. This makes this yellow look more cool-toned by just kind of cooling it down, adding that gray back in so it looks more like a cool add-on rather than a full-toned blue. Again, by using Chevreul's rule, because we are surrounded by so much yellow, we are surrounded by so much of this yellow, this orange, all I need to do is move it closer towards a cool-toned color, dull it down, and this looks way more blue because I'm kind of taking away a lot of that yellow and adding in something that looks colder. It takes a little bit of practice, but it is like how you kind of get rid of your need for multiply layers, screen layers, stuff like that.
Thanks so much to Aces for sponsoring this video and sending us the PA169 CDV Pro Art Display. Aces has created a drawing device built with artists in mind. The Pro Art Display is Pantone validated, uses Wacom EMR technology, and has touch gestures designed to work with professional art programs. The monitor even has its own control panel that works similarly to express keys on a traditional digital art tablet. This monitor is built for creativity on the go, having a thin, lightweight, and portable design of 15.6 inches across. It even comes with its own cute carrying case. But even if you choose not to use it, it'll slip easily into your laptop bag. Having two kickstand settings, one for pure monitor use and the other for use with the pen, means you don't need to buy any additional ergo stands in order to use it. Speaking of the pen, it's batteryless, meaning it doesn't need a charge in order for it to work. Just plug in the monitor and it'll work like a normal pen would. Having another monitor to have your references, or maybe even just a video playing in the background, can really enhance your efficiency while working. For a limited time, buying the Pro Art Display also gets you a free 3-month Adobe Bundle subscription, which has a value of over 488 USD. You can also use promo code WINGCANVAS for 15% off the device. That's WINGCANVAS, all caps, no spaces. So thank you so much to Aces for sponsoring this video, and take a look at the Pro Art Display to take your creativity to go. Link in the description below. To never work on a background with color initially, and never work on a white background because it'll change how we see our colors within the scene. With white backgrounds, they don't allow us to see the proper full range of values because everything will automatically appear darker. And if you start on a background with color, it can alter the colors we pick because we're seeing them differently due to subtraction. However, with painters and working with straight ahead methods like this, you kind of have to work with a background with color because you need to compare the colors to the setting they're within. In this case, everything was bathed in a deep cyanish color, so I needed to account for that while picking the colors I would be using. Like I mentioned in the lesson, the strategy for picking colors like this is essentially asking myself the question, how do I add more of X color to this so it looks like it fits within the scene? You can see me finagle a lot with the colors before making a final decision, especially with the skin tone, because it's a near perfect complement to the cyan, making it just a little difficult to color pick. But having a darker reddish brown in the end is what worked out, since that is a cooler toned sort of neutral. If you didn't know, usually warmer toned skin tones usually lean more to yellow. Cooler tones usually lean more to red. So if you're ever wondering when people are like, oh, it's like I have a very cool skin tone, there you go. Overall, this strategy just takes a lot of practice, and it'll help a lot with color picking and adjusting our colors based on scenes and compositions we create.
If you like what you see in front of you, I will be uploading the JPEG for this file onto the Discord so you can take it, including the lesson. The lesson will also be available for you on the Discord if you want to take a look at it and download it. But if you would like my working files, I mean, this one's not going to be that great because it's 2 layers, but if you want my working files or any other streamer's working files, you're going to have to go to Patreon. Patreon, where you can get the working files for things that you see on stream. You can also get class recordings, and as a certain tier or higher, you can get critiques on the Discord, access to secret channels as well. Be sure to check out those as well. Come join us, come say hi.
Join a virtual class in seconds and learn live from professional artists. Enjoy weekly assignments, individual guidance, and real-time feedback on your artwork so you can create like a fearless illustrator. If you learned something new, please like and share this with a fellow art nerd. If you love receiving quality and free arts education, subscribe. Here's a couple other videos you can check out next.